React in 2026 looks different. The server is back, the compiler writes your memoization, and a few timeless patterns still separate clean code from chaos. Here are the 10 patterns and concepts worth knowing right now. 3 big shifts set the stage. Components can now run on the server, a new compiler handles performance for you, and data fetching moved right next to your components. But as you'll see, the old fundamentals still matter just as much. Number 1. Server components. They render on the server, so a component can query your database or call a service directly, then send only the finished markup. No client JavaScript, no loading plumbing. In modern frameworks, they're now the default, client components are the exception. Look how little there is to it. The component is just an async function, await your data, return your markup. No useEffect, no useState, no fetch in the browser at all. Number 2. Server actions. They let you run server code by calling a function. No separate API route, no fetch wiring. You get end-to-end types, and because they hook into native forms, they even work before JavaScript loads. Add the useServer directive, and that function now runs safely on the server. Wire it straight to a forms action, and submitting calls it. That's your whole mutation layer, in a few lines. Number 3. Suspense. Wrap an async part of your UI in a suspense boundary with a fallback, and React streams it in the moment its data is ready. Loading stops being a Boolean you track everywhere and becomes part of the layout itself. Number 4. The use hook, new in React 19. It reads the value of a promise right inside render and lets Suspense handle the waiting. And it breaks the old rule, you can call use inside conditions and loops, unlike any other hook. Pass a promise in, call use, and you've got the resolved value, no useEffect, no manual loading state. It's the cleanest way yet to read async data inside a component. Number 5. Actions and optimistic UI. useActionState hands you the result and a pending flag automatically. useOptimistic updates the screen instantly while the request is still in flight. Between them, the usual pile of form state just disappears. No more is submitting Booleans or handwritten rollbacks. The hooks give you pending state and optimistic updates out of the box, and they revert automatically if the action fails. Number 6. The React compiler. It rewrites your components at build time to memoize exactly what's needed. That means you can delete most of your use memo, use callback, and memo, and stop debugging stale dependency arrays. Write straightforward code and let it optimize. Here's the before and after. The handwritten memoization on top becomes unnecessary. The compiler adds it for you correctly every single time. Number 7. Custom hooks. Still the single best way to reuse logic that involves state or effects. If 2 components do the same stateful thing, pull it into a use something hook. Everything new in React is built out of this one idea. Here's the shape. State and effects live inside a function that starts with use, and it returns whatever the component needs. Now any component can share it in a single line. Number 8. Composition over prop drilling. When you're passing a prop through 4 components that don't even use it, stop. Pass the UI as children or slots instead, and reach for context only when state is genuinely shared. Your data flow gets flat, your components get small. Number 9, and the one that prevents the most bugs, you might not need that effect. Effects exist to talk to things outside React, the network, the DOM, a subscription. They are not for computing values from props or responding to clicks. Derive during render instead, and watch half your effects disappear. The top version runs an entire effect just to combine 2 strings, an extra render and a whole class of bugs. The bottom one simply computes it during render. Same result, none of the risk. Number 10. Keep server state and client state apart. Data from your backend wants caching, refetching, and deduping. That's TanStack Query or a server component, not a global store. Local UI state, like what's open or selected, stays in use state. Mixing them is where state management turns into a mess. One line pulls cached server data with automatic refetching. The other holds a simple piece of UI state. Different tools, different jobs, and your app stays predictable. There they are, all 10. The server era shifts on the left, the timeless patterns on the right. You don't have to adopt everything overnight, but knowing where each one fits is what separates a React developer in 2026 from one still writing 2020 code. Learn these 10 and you're building modern React with confidence. The server era changed the tools, but clean patterns still win. If this helped, follow for more, and tell me which one you're reaching for first.